What's up, everyone? Welcome to Breaking Tables. I'm your host, Alex, and today we've got a big show. We're going to be talking about some of the winners and losers of day one at the NFL Combine. That is defensive tackles, edge rushers, and linebackers. And who else but to start off with but Caleb Banks, the defensive tackle out of Florida, 6'6", 327 pounds, and 35-inch arms. The monster defensive tackle, and I'm really excited to talk about him because he tore it up at the Combine, fully solidifying himself as a first-round pick. As he didn't really play in 2025, there was some speculation that he could hit that second round because of his lack of production. He had a foot problem in the spring. It popped back up in the fall, causing him to miss the first 2 games of the season. And then in his debut in week 3, he aggravated it again. He missed every game until week 13 and 14 when Florida's season was pretty much over. So that was the big question mark heading into the Combine. Is Caleb Banks able to redeem himself and kind of get that attention back that was on him after the 2024 season? And boy, he did. A 5:05 second 40-yard dash, 1.76 10-yard split, and a 9.84 relative athletic score. That is amazing, especially at his size, 6'6", 327 pounds. Dare I say it again, just off the charts performance. Definitely a first round pick. In my opinion, I don't think he escapes the top 25 if he makes it out of the top 20. Now, he's mostly known for his great season in 2024. That's where he produced. In 8 games, he had 4.5 sacks and 1 forced fumble. And I think Caleb Banks is going to be a star in the NFL. And after watching some of his games in 2024, here are some of my thoughts. He's very active with his hands, whether that's pass rushing or run defense, which is exactly what you want to see. Some guys in college, they're not as nuanced. They don't really have a plan when they're at the line of scrimmage. They just kind of do what they please and just hope it works. Not with Caleb Banks. He has a plan, and he has very, very good technique and active hands. He's a very stout run defender as well. Obviously, with that size, it's very hard to push him around. He's very, very physical, very tough. And for his size, it's really surprising how fast he can get off the line. That's exactly what you want. Kind of reminds me of another Florida defensive tackle, Javon Dexter, now with the Bears, was known for his insane burst off the line. And that's kind of what Caleb Banks has, as well as his great footwork. Again, with a size like that, you don't really expect those guys to be that nuanced with their footwork, but Caleb Banks is very polished. The only real worry is that foot issue. And I think after his performance at the Combine, there is no worry about that. Now, here's some fits for Caleb Banks. First, Tampa Bay. Pick 15, he'd be staying in Florida. Now that's perfect. Some people say pick 15 is a little rich. I don't think after that Combine performance, any pick is too rich. Vita Vea, 31. He's got an expiring contract in 2027. A perfect replacement. Put him next to Kalijah Kancey, who's on that lighter side. Caleb Banks kind of makes up for that due to his big size. I would think that's a great duo. And then at 18, you got the Minnesota Vikings, who just released Dalvin Tomlinson yesterday. Dare I say more, kind of lacking interior defensive line room. Caleb Banks would fit that hole perfectly. Now pick 19, Carolina Panthers, Derek Brown and Caleb Banks. That would be amazing. What a duo that would be. And lastly, the LA Chargers. They pick at 22. I don't think he makes it past this pick. If LA is on the board, they're going to take him. Tier Tart, their best defensive tackle, is on an expiring contract. Even if they bring him back, I think Caleb Banks is the guy. And now some people might say for them to go after offensive line early in the draft, you still have the second and third round. You also have free agency. And if they don't address defensive tackles seriously in free agency, I think Caleb Banks is impossible to pass up on. And for the next winner of the 2026 NFL Combine, we've got David Bailey, the edge rusher out of Texas Tech, 6'3", 251 pounds, and 33-inch arms. An amazing athlete, and he proved it at the Combine. He ran a 4.5 40, a 1.62 10-yard split, 35-inch vertical, resulting in a 9.67 RAS score. Just elite. Not really surprising, but it's really good to have those numbers official and on paper. NFL teams are going to love that. And when it comes to his production, he doesn't disappoint. 14.5 sacks, 3 forced fumbles, and 52 total tackles in 2025. He's great off the line, really fast get off, really bendy, really athletic, as we saw with that 40 and the 10-yard split. But he's also really good at transferring speed to power. He's a little lighter, but he really knows how to use that to his advantage, using the speed, converting that into strength. Now, he isn't the most diverse when it comes to his pass rushing technique. He's still a little raw. He's got an amazing spin move, amazing wide rush with that bend, but he can get bullied at times in the run game due to his size. And in the pass game, as I said, he isn't that polished, but that'll come with time. A guy like that is worth banking on in the top 10. Elite traits and great production in college. What's there not to like? Now, here's some fits for David Bailey. First, the Washington Commanders picking at pick 7. I mean, it's Dan Quinn and his amazing defense. I think Dan Quinn can turn this guy into a weapon. Not that he isn't already one, but Dan Quinn can really refine him and get him up to speed with that technique and turn him into a star. And then you've got pick 11, the Miami Dolphins. Besides Chop Robinson, it's kind of the same thing. Not really much to that edge room. I think he'd really fit in well there. And then pick 12, you got the Dallas Cowboys. Kind of the same problem, a weaker edge room. You've got Donovan Ezraku, and then not really anyone else. If you can get David Bailey at pick 12, that is insane value for that athleticism and those traits. I think he'd fit in just fine in Dallas. And I'm pretty sure you guys know who's up next. Sonny Styles, the linebacker out of Ohio State. 6'5", 244. He was compared to Megatron. So just take that in. Compared to Megatron at linebacker. Used to play safety. 4'4", 640, 1.56 10-yard split, and a perfect 10.0 RAS score. We haven't seen a player like this. Just an athletic specimen, almost like he's made in a lab. Elite talent across the board, and his production didn't disappoint either. In 2025, Sonny Styles racked up 83 total tackles, 1 sack, 1 forced fumble, 1 interception, and 3 passes defended. That's great. That's exactly what you want out of someone that just started playing linebacker in 2024. And along with his elite athleticism and burst, he's very physical, a very, very dangerous linebacker when attacking downhill, and that is perfect. For a guy that is relatively new to playing the position, there's a couple times where maybe he'll be a little late to processing something or have a couple miscues, but his speed makes up for it. And he meets those running backs behind the line of scrimmage earlier than any other linebacker can dream of, running that 4-4. And I think the Tennessee Titans, I know it's pick 4, but Robert Saleh and the Tennessee Titans could be in the mix for a guy like this. Saleh coached in San Francisco. He knows how important linebackers are. I mean, he worked with Fred Warner, one of the best in this era. And I think Sonny Styles could be used in that similar way that Fred Warner has been. Just kind of all over the place, amazing in space, but a very physical player despite his elite athleticism. Usually some of the linebackers that are great athletes aren't phenomenal when it comes to being physical, attacking downhill in the run game, but Sonny Styles doesn't shy away from that contact. So I think the Titans at 4 could be in the mix. But next, pick 7, the Washington Commanders, a little more of a realistic pick. Again, Dan Quinn. Dan Quinn loves his defensive weapons, an amazing defensive head coach. I think Sonny Styles would fit in just great in Washington, especially because Bobby Wagner is on an expiring contract, so he could come in, take that role, and I don't think they'd miss a beat after a couple weeks of him getting acclimated to things. And lastly, the Dallas Cowboys. Pick 12, I know it's a little late, but linebackers sometimes can fall along with safeties. It's just that kind of positional value. Got to take it under consideration. And the Cowboys have Logan Wilson and Kenneth Murray both hitting free agency. What better way to replace him but with Sonny Styles? And for the last winner of the NFL Combine on day 1, we have Sonny Styles' teammate, Arvell Reese. Linebacker slash edge rusher. Not really sure where he's going to play in the NFL. He tested with the edge rushers. Probably beneficial because he tore it up. He gets to look extra good when he's testing with guys that are 270 pounds. So kind of smart on his end, but we're not really sure where he's going to play. He did test 32-inch arms, a little short for an edge rusher, but definitely still doable if he commits to the edge rusher position. And just like his teammate Sonny Styles, Arvell Reese ran a 4.46 40-yard dash, a 1.58 split. Elite numbers, especially for a guy that could play edge. Now, he played linebacker and edge in Ohio State, played all over the place, 69 total tackles, 6.5 sacks, and 2 passes defended. Just a lightning bolt. Really, really fast off the line, but also fast in space when he's playing in coverage. He's got great bend when he's off the edge rushing the passer, and he's a very, very physical tackler. Great at attacking downfield, no matter where he lines up. Linebacker, edge, he's very physical despite his size, 241 pounds. That's where he'll need to figure that out. If he wants to play linebacker, there's no problem. But if he wants to play edge, like how he tested, he'll definitely have to put on some more weight, likely around 250, maybe 255, just so then he could gain that strength. And for his fits, I'm going to start off with the Tennessee Titans, just like with Sonny Styles. Pick 4, Robert Saleh's dream. A versatile player, can play edge or linebacker wherever they decide. I know they traded for Jermaine Johnson, but I don't think that's enough to completely write them off for looking for an edge rusher. And if they're not, he can play linebacker, just like we talked about. And next up, the Washington Commanders. Pick 7, just like with Sonny Styles, Bobby Wagner on his way out, but also the Commanders have a weak edge room. Reese can definitely fill in and play that role, kind of like a Micah Parsons. Micah Parsons wasn't really decided on if he was going to play edge rusher or linebacker heading into the NFL, and the Cowboys put him at that kind of Swiss Army knife role in his first year and then stuck him at edge from there on out. A phenomenal player. Maybe Dan Quinn can work some magic with a guy like Arvell Reese. And then next, the Baltimore Ravens. Anticipating a possible fall for Arvell Reese due to him not having committed to a position and being that kind of tweener, the Ravens are a possibility. I mean, Kyle Hamilton fell to them a couple of years ago. Why not Reese? At pick 14, not the best of an edge room, or you could stick him next to Roquan Smith, an elite linebacker as he is. I think that Ravens defense would be dangerous with a guy like Arvell Reese. And now moving on to the losers of the NFL Combine. We've got 2 in this video. First, Rueben Bain. I'm sure you guys all guessed, the edge rusher out of Miami, 6'2", 263, but the 30-inch arms. The dreaded measurement everyone wanted to know, and they got to see it. 30-inch arms, that's not ideal. That's not what you want for an edge rusher, especially when there's very few edge rushers that succeeded in the NFL sub 32-inch. So for him to be at 30, that's not very good to see. Offensive tackles in the NFL are usually 34 to 36. It's going to be pretty hard to win in the NFL in the pass rushing game when a tackle can get his hands on you a second before you. We kind of saw it with Will Campbell, but vice versa in the Super Bowl. His arms are too short and he got bullied all day. I know he was coming off an injury, but you could see that length play a big role. Rueben Bain Jr. didn't do any testing at the Combine, and I think that's for the better. You know, you already had the measurement kind of hurt him, and I think he's more of a game speed type of guy. I don't think he would have ran that great of a 40, but the game speed shows. In game, he's got elite burst, and he got 83 pressures in his 2025 season, along with 9.5 sacks, a forced fumble, an interception, and 54 total tackles. One of the scariest players in college football. I think Rueben Bain is going to be a good player in the NFL, but he needs to be used correctly. On the field, he's as good as it gets. He's got a really high motor, really tough, really physical, very strong, a very strong run defender as well. But he's got great hands in the pass game and run game. Very, very nuanced, got a lot of technique. And that's what you want out of your college edge rushers. You want them to come to the line with a plan. So for his possible fits in the NFL, I'm going to start off with the Tennessee Titans. A guy like Robert Saleh, an extremely successful defensive coach. This is his second time being a head coach, and I think he can turn Rueben Bain into a great player. Pick 7, we talked a lot about the Washington Commanders already. As I said, weak edge room. He can slide in perfectly. An extremely successful defensive head coach as well. I think Rueben Bain will find success in Washington. And lastly, Miami Dolphins, pick 11. If he falls outside the top 10, which is possible after those measurements, Miami could scoop him up, have him lined opposite to Chop Robinson. That is a nice duo. And for the last player in this video, kind of similar to Rueben Bain Jr., we got Cashius Howell, a great athlete, 6'2", 253 pounds, but 30-inch arms. The measurements definitely hurt his draft stock. Was once viewed as a late first rounder, now could probably slide into that second round due to the lack of length. Aside from the arm length, he is an amazing athlete. He ran a 4.59 40 and a 1.59 10-yard split, resulting in an 8.11 RAS score. I think Cashius Howell still has a chance to be a good edge rusher in the NFL, but definitely not a a first round pick. If I was a GM, I'm not taking a guy like that in the first round, 30-inch arms, and he's not Rueben Bain. I'll wait till the second round. Howell was extremely productive for Texas A&M in 2025. 11 and a half sacks, 6 passes defended. Despite the arm length, he batted some passes down, 1 forced fumble in 31 total tackles. So when it comes to his production, he is there. He's got great burst off the line, elite flexibility and bend, always getting around those tackles, high motor, and very tough. But he is very light, 253 pounds, tends to get bullied in the run game, and sometimes in the pass game because he's not very polished. He doesn't really have a plan when he's at the line. He needs to develop his pass rushing technique, but I have faith in that. I think that if he gains some more weight, maybe hits 260 also, maybe even 265. He's a very natural athlete, so I doubt he'll lose that much speed by gaining weight. And with that weight, he'll be more stout, can be a 3-down player, and also he'll be stronger. Can use his hands more in many different ways rather than just relying on his bend and his speed. And I've got 2 great fits for him. First, pick 20 in the first round by the Dallas Cowboys. We talked a little bit about the Cowboys. You have Donovan Ezraku, not really anyone else on the opposite side. I think he would fit in excellent in Dallas, staying in Texas. And then in a possible slip out of the first round, pick 34 by the Arizona Cardinals. Opposite of Josh Sweat, I think Cashius Howell can really succeed in Arizona. I think that's a very desirable spot, and it's a realistic spot. After those measurements, despite his great athleticism, I think there's a good shot he leaves the first round. So Arizona could definitely come in, scoop him up at pick 34 for some great value. And that's all I have for you guys for the winners and losers of day 1 at the Combine. I'll be back with another video for day 2. We're going to do a little mini series about this, covering every single day at the Combine. So make sure you guys subscribe and like this video and comment. I'll see you guys soon, and until then, go Bills.